viewers, welcome to my simple accounting channel. This is Uttam sir. Today I have to discuss the trial balance. What is trial balance? Trial balance is a statement where we can get all accounts in one account. So, what is the purpose of trial balance? Why it is needed? The purpose of trial balance is great. Trial balance help us to make the final accounts. How the trial balance is to be constructed? In two ways we can do the trial balance. Number one, we can get the trial balance from the ledger accounts balance. T accounts balance is help us to make the trial balance. The another trial balance can be constructed if some of the incorrect trial balance is given. From that trial balance you have to be corrected. So there are other ways we can do it, but basically conventionally we have to do the trial balance by the ledger accounts. So what is the principles of making trial balance? When you are going to trial balance, you have to draw a structure or format of trial balance. There are the two columns. One is the debit columns and then the credit columns. So first of all, you have to draw the format, debit column and credit column. Two columns is over there. Now we have to check the ledger accounts balance. We have to find the closing balance, that is balance CD in the ledger accounts. In which side it is given? If balance CD is some of the accounts is given in the debit side, then it should be posted in the credit side of the trial balance. If balance CD of some account is given in the credit side, then it should be posted in the debit side of the trial balance. Through this way, all the accounts balance is to be posted in the trial balance, debit side or credit side. Finally, we have to summarize the figure. Total amount is to be calculated. So, if the total amount is the same amount, if it is agreed, both sides, debit side and credit side the same amount, then we can consider the trial balance is right one. So, this is the way of making trial balance from the ledger accounts. Sometimes, some of the incorrect trial balance to be given to you, and you have to be advised to do it correctly. These situations, some basic accounting principles you need to be known. So that is to be applied. Maybe the two columns as usual, debit column and the credit column. In the debit column, you have to post only 4 items. You have to post only 4 items. First of all asset item is to be debited. Then number 2, all expenses item is to be debited. All drawings items is to be debited, and returns inward item is to be debited. These 4 items is to be debited. First of all asset item, all expense item, returns inward and drawings item. These the 4 items is to be debited. This to be written in the debit side. In the credit side, that the 5 items. 5 items in the credit side. All incomes item is to be credited. All liabilities, whatever the current liability, whatever the long term liability, whatever it is, liability always be credited. Then capital always be credit side. Then returns outward also be credit side. And any provision, whatever the depreciation provision or allowance for doubtful position is also be credit side. Then you have to total. Then obviously the both sides is to be equal. If both sides is equal, then trial balance is matched and it is corrected one. It is to be considered. Now I have to discuss what are the benefits of making trial balance, or what is the advantages of trial balance. There are a lot of advantages of trial balance. This is the third stage of accounting. First stage is journalization, second stage ledger posting, and third stage is trial balance. This is the foundation of making the other accounts. So, if the trial balance is right one, corrected one, then it will help a lot to make the other accounts, maybe the 4th stage, that is making the income statement, in the 5th stage, that is the balance sheet or financial position, that we can construct. What are the benefits of the trial balance? First benefit is that it ensures the arithmetical accuracy of the transaction. If the transaction is right one, definitely trial balance is to be matched. If the ledger accounts right one, trial balance definitely matched. So this is the benefit. we can find the arithmetical accuracy from the transaction. If it is matched, if both sides is equal, then it is right one. Second benefit is that it helps us to make the final accounts. Maybe the income statement and the balance sheet combined is said that final account. That final accounts we can do properly. Number 3, we can find where the mistake is done, where the error is done through the tables. Number 4, we can adjust the different figures, unadjusted figure, we can adjust over here. Maybe the 5th one, we can make the report, financial report to the different stakeholders. That can help us. Now, some of the limitation or the demerits of trial balance, what they are. Maybe the trial balance is agreed, but still inside that there are a lot of mistakes, lot of wrong things is done. So that cannot be accepted by the different authority. That cannot be accepted by the law. So that's why this trial balance definitely the corrected one. So what problem actually in the trial balance? First problem is that error of omission. What is called error of omission? Error of omission means some of the transactions taking place, but that entity is not given. So this is called error of omission. Since it is omitted, that's why the tablets is to be agreed. So you can think tablets is agreed, so tablets is right. No, that's not like that. So that error is to be corrected. The error of commission. Error of commission means that different persons accounts is to be debited or credited. Wrong person is to be debited or credited. Maybe the pronunciation is the same. It seems to be the same amount, same loan, same person, but actually the different person. If something happened there, so it is called the error of commission. Sometimes it is said some of the errors which not affect the tables. Third one, error of principles. There are different type of accounts. Maybe it is a capital expenditure, some of the revenue expenditure. Sometimes capital expenditure can convert into revenue expenditure, or revenue expenditure can convert to the capital expenditure. But since all the expenses is to be debited in the trial balance, that's why maybe the purchase of a machinery by 50 lakhs taka. So you just made an entry to the purchase account. This is the wrong types of accounts you are going to debit. This should be debited to the machinery accounts instead of purchase accounts. Since both items to come in the trial balance in the debit side, that's why trial balance is matched or agreed, but it is wrong, is over there. Then compensating error. Sometimes some of that error is compensating each other. What actually there? Maybe the debit side entity is overstated 5,000 taka. In the same time, some of the credit side entity also overstated in 5,000 taka. So this is eliminated. So trial balance is to be matched, but still that the wrong figure is shown in the trial balance. Maybe sometimes error of original entry. Original entry means when the transaction is taking place, from that transaction we have to make the journal entries. In that journal entries, maybe some of the figure is written wrongly, and from that figure you have done the ledger accounts, and ledger accounts balance is come to the trial balance. So trial balance the same figure is coming. That's why maybe trial balance is matched, but still the mistake is over there. Wrong figure is over there in the trial balance. Now finally maybe come transpositional error. Sometimes transpositional error. Some of the error like this transpositional. What is called transpositional error? Transpositional error means sometimes some of the figure seems to be the same figure, but if you closely look that the figure is the different one. Maybe 625. Figure is $625, but it is written 652. If you write 625 and 652, it seems to be same figure, but whenever closely look about that, then it should be the different one. Such type of entry, if it is made, then the trial balance is to be right. But still the wrong figure is highlighted in the trial balance. So it is wrong there. We can't do that. We can accept this trial balance. So we need to be clear. So some typical, I have to show it. This is the typical trial balance. Here the titles or the amounts is written, all coming from T accounts. This is the balance sheet, maybe the premises, one of the assets. So premises balance is in the credit side. So here in the trial balance it is written in the debit side. This is the principle for making trial balance. Maybe the land and building balance sheet is given in the credit side. Here written in the debit side. Machinery balance sheet is found in the credit side. It is written in the debit side. Motor vehicles written balance sheet is found in the credit side. Written in the debit side. This is the principles of making the trial balance. Posting that principle. This inventory also in the credit side, written in the debit side. The revenue or sales, the trial balance in the ledger accounts, we find it in the debit side. Balance sheet is given debit side. So that is why it is written in the credit side. In the purchase, here the balance sheet is given in the credit side. Here written in the debit side. So all the items wrote here, all the items coming from the T accounts. That the balance sheet. So this is the typical trial balance T accounts. Maybe there is a lot of transaction, but I just a few transaction is outlining over here. The main transaction is outlining over here. So this is the typical trial balance format. Here you see when the trial balance, incorrect trial balance you are given and instructed that you have to do the corrected trial balance. Then you have to follow this typical trial balance format. Here the debit side and then the credit side. In respect of debit side, 4 items over there. One of the items is assets item. That asset may be it is current asset or it is the non-current asset. Whatever the assets, asset account always in the debit side. You have to be written. Then the expenses, defined expenses, purchase tax, one of the purchases, maybe the salary, maybe the rent, maybe the insurance, the lighting, heating, a lot of expense item. So any expense item always be written in the debit side of the trial balance. So then the drawings account, sometimes the owners can draw something, so and this will be shown in the debit side. And returns inward is the peculiar item. So sometimes students get confused. Why that is to be posted, debit side or credit side. So returns inward always be written in the debit side. Now back to the credit side. There are the 5 items in the credit side. Income, any income, all types of income. Maybe the revenue is one of the income. Maybe discount receive one of the income. Interest receive one of the income. All income is to be credited. That is to be written in the credit side. Liabilities, all type of liabilities. There is the current liability as well as the non-current liability, long-term liability, whatever it is. All liabilities written in the credit side. Then the owner's capital. Capital which is provided by the owners. That is to be credited always. And then any type of provision. Provision may be allowance for doubtful debts provision, maybe the depreciation provision, whatever it is, that always be written in the credit side. And finally, the returns outward. So that's the typical format of incorrect trial balance to make the corrected trial balance. So here, I should say the student, those who are interested to do better, then you have to be more patient and more practice needed at home. You can follow, but practice is must. But whenever you do the accounting, that your brain must be cool enough. Otherwise, simple mistake can make a major casualties. So you can afford that. So that's all for today. My next video will be on income statement. That is very, very important statement. So you can watch that. Well, thanks for watching, and obviously if it is enjoyable, then you have to make a like and share it to your friend circle. And don't forget to subscribe me. Thanks for watching and have a nice time. Goodbye.